He's been immortalized by Amir Khan in Raja Hindustani and Mel Gibson in Conspiracy Theory. He's one of a kind, sensitive, stubborn, finicky, and incredibly curious. A taxi driver can take you to places you want to see, but for him, holidays don't exist. Satyadeep Mishra is out to prove this wrong, in his own way.
Udaygiri, Sanchi, Raisen, Kalinjar. Of course, I've been to these places before as an ordinary tourist, but never moonlighting as a taxi driver. Well, that's exactly what the Great Escape team has asked me to do this time. Experience places from a point of view that's slightly different from that of the ordinary traveler.
Right. All I need now are some passengers. Let's try the bus station, shall we? Feeling optimistic, I arrived at the Sanchi station.
हमारी मिलती है कभी कभी।
तो क्या टाइम, कौन सी ट्रेन से आते हैं?
कभी सुबह कभी दोपहर कोई टाइम नहीं।
तो हम यहाँ इंतजार करें क्या?
उसको वेट करना ही पड़ेगा।
So, I did what any other taxi driver would do. Read an ordinary Hindi novel, very ordinarily called Maa Lalkare Shaitan Ko. The novel proved to be a perfect remedy for insomniacs like me.
Right. Enough is enough. I'm out of here. My first day as a taxi driver has been quite depressing. The reason being that I haven't found any passengers yet. So, after 2 very uneventful hours at the station, I decided to do what I like doing most, exploring, which unfortunately involves climbing up this never-ending flight of stairs.
Most of the 20-odd 5th century Hindu and Jain caves at Udaygiri are small, single-celled rooms scraped from the foot of the near vertical rocks. The doorway to each cave is decorated with attractive reliefs of gods and demons.
Can you imagine how long it must have taken to sculpt these? And even though time seems to have left little of these sculptures, they still are quite fascinating. This here is cave number 5, probably the most famous of the caves at Udaygiri. It depicts Vara, an incarnation of Lord Vishnu rescuing Goddess Earth from the clutches of the evil Hiranyaksh. Perhaps the purpose behind building these caves was different, but almost 2,000 years later, they serve as cultural imprints of an era long gone.
The 30 kilometers to Raisen are pretty lonely, and moonlighting here as a taxi driver isn't easy. You will be lucky to find any passenger here. What you will find are buffaloes, buffaloes, and more buffaloes.
हट जा भाई मेरे। शाबाश। ओ!
Every time I visit a place like this, I ask myself, what's the point of seeing dilapidated, torn down forts? But then, every time I enter a new one, I get a whole new feeling because every fort has its own little history. This one, for example, was built by the Gond kings about 1500 years ago. It covers an area of approximately 3 square kilometers, and at one point in time, its walls housed an entire city.
Today, the once grand avenues are rocky footpaths. The entire complex of temples, mosques, palaces and houses are in ruins. Tumble-down courtyards of the Rani and Badal Mahal speak of the glorious days that it once saw. As I walked through them, I found it rather difficult to envisage the lost grandeur of the 2 palaces. Time can be cruel. After the Sultan of Gujarat invaded Raisen in 1532, It was repeatedly besieged and finally left to rot in the 19th century. Since then, it has been nothing else but a ghost city.
कहाँ चलेंगे?
भोपाल चलेंगे?
हाँ बिल्कुल चलेंगे।
कितना किराया कितना लेंगे?
किराया होता कितना है किराया?
60 रुपए लगता है।
चलिए हमें 20 रुपए दे दीजिएगा। आइए आइए।
ठीक ठीक।
चलिए। इस इलाके में पैसेंजर ढूंढना बहुत मुश्किल बात है। एमपी की सड़कें बहुत खराब हैं।
हाँ एमपी की सड़कें खराब है, वैसे बिहार से तो अच्छी है फिर भी।
हाँ बिहार से अच्छी हैं लेकिन तब भी यूपी
An amateur in this profession, I decided to undercut my fellow drivers by charging 1/3 of the normal rate. Surely this would help me get passengers. Well, 2 is all I got. These guys were off to Bhopal, 50 kilometers from Sanchi.
हट जाओ भैया, मर जाओगे। गाड़ी अपनी, टाइम अपना, चला था मुसाफिर। आ गए भाई साहब। अच्छा भैया राम राम। अच्छा भैया राम राम।
Quite apart from being India's finest surviving Buddhist monument, the ruined temples, monasteries, and the great stupa at Sanchi provide a rich yet unbroken record of Buddhist art and architecture. Built by Emperor Ashoka in the 3rd century BC, the enclosure has ruins of several smaller stupas and temples, as well as the stumps of the pillars that were built to mark sacred sites and pilgrimage trails. I've traveled many times at night from one place to the other, and as far as I can remember, I've always been a passenger. This time, as I drove across Madhya Pradesh to Kalinjar on an 8-hour journey, I experienced something that I hadn't before.
On a highway at night, there comes into play a language of lights. No horns, no hand signals. Just dip your lights if you want to overtake another vehicle or flash them on and off if you want to pass first on a narrow bridge. It's all quite simple, really. Of course, you have to find a way of dealing with these heavy trucks that come hurtling down towards you with their blinding lights.
A taxi driver's life is spent on the highway with his taxi. Many a times, he only gets a charpai at a highway dhaba to sleep on. Sometimes he has to sleep in his own vehicle. The day for him starts early. He cleans his vehicle and checks if everything is okay. The taxi is his god, and he worships it in his own way.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog.
If his skills and his stars are in order, a taxi driver sometimes finds a passenger for an entire day. Well, neither was I lucky, nor were my stars in order. As a result, I drove alone to Kalinjar Fort. Deep in the heart of Bundelkhand is the star-shaped fort of Kalinjar. Little is left of the huge fortifications at Kalinjar, save sections of the palaces. A dirt road winds through the few remaining dilapidated buildings. What remains, though, is the Nilkant temple, carved out of a single rock.
The last 3 days that I've spent on the road have been fun. But then, if I had to do this on a daily basis, I guess I would feel differently. Being away from home, driving many hours each day, little money, and complete strangers for company is a difficult life to live. It's something that I'll remember the next time I hire a taxi.